Hello, guys. Oh, for my second video, I'm just trying to talk about a brief rules of my game, and my game is like called ABCDE. I got this name in my second year of high school. At that time, there was a very interesting class, and uh, the class was called like General Technology or Universal Technology, and during this class, teacher told us a lot of about how to create product and how to create advertisements to attract people. And I was very impressive by an example given by a teacher. At the time, she said uh, like a few years ago, some students asked her I found a they say like I found a very interesting advertisement for BMW. And because the BMW actually you can realize that it stands for Be My Wife. And the student said like why can the BMW company they have the advertisement like Be My Wife, like a BMW car can be my wife, and so that you can attract people and uh make people easily remember the name. And here I have ABCDE, which is kind of like a little bit childish. Actually, A stands for Army, B stands for Business, C stands for Currently, D for Direction, and E for Empire. And I think you can consider that as the whole things during this game, this board game. And the element of the game are six colors of the ships, identity cards for the six countries, the trade route cards, which is I got inspiration from Ticket to Ride, a map of the world, and I would try to download GIS and mark all the ports and choking points, and also like trade routes on the map. Try to do that if I have free time, and territory card to stand for that represents your ownerships of those lands and resources ticket and piracy license. So the game set up like choose a person as a host because the game is very complicated, I think. And each time I play it in my home country with my neighborhoods and with some boys, and of course there are some girls. And uh, I usually I was usually the host of the game and try to guide people and try to uh, control the currency and try to give advice to people how to operate the ships and so on. And okay, there are six empires: the United Kingdom, Russia, the United States, China, Japan, and Paris. And each player they choose an identity card and become the country they chose, and then shuffle the territory card and allocate the cards to the players so that they have their original territories they have. Because before that, in my home country, when I was in high school, I usually uh, just didn't allocate the cards to the players. And because I want the players to enjoy the fun while exploring new lands, just like what our ancestors did in 200 or 300 years ago. But when I before this, I just think it's very time wasting and very complicated, and people just couldn't wait. And of course, when you have some choking points just near your capitals, you are the first to grab those lands, and maybe that cause some fairness. So I can try to do that, like because this is another inspiration from the risk. But of course, risk is on lands, and my game is on the sea. And then place six ships uh, into their territory they have. And okay, so everyone they get $150, five food and five metal tickets. Uh, they are used to build ships or to build factories. Mm, okay, the colors. Okay, this is also like the operation order. Mm, because maybe there could be a tradition when I was playing these games and creating these games with my friends back in China, and they have like operation order, which is kind of like maybe time zone or something. Anyway, mm, what can you do in your turn? This sort of kind of uh very just make people feel lost. You can move all your ships. You stand to attack, and you can grab trade cars. You can set batteries. You can build ships and trade resources. Those kinds of very make people very confused, and because all the stuff are together. Maybe I would try to like decide like just move my ships. Maybe I could only allow players to that, and maybe not. And at the end of 5 turns or rest time, mm, this is the tradition back remaining uh in my time in high school. Because mm, maybe you can like during these 5 turns that many things could happen, and people just grab other lands and they may lose lands, and they also gain some resources. Mhm. So um actually after coming here I know about risk, and I try to say that like maybe we can just make 1 turn. After each turn you can receive some money, and of course not possible to realize that because just got every time you had to think of that, and it's not like lose a time of development. And for this news I haven't tried to make that. I think I will find the time to make those news, such like maybe there's battles in Eurasia, and maybe some pandemics in Africa or South America, something like that. I try to uh influence the prices of resources. I had some during my old game rules in China, and the news is like you can somehow maybe I will have a very big storm and try to attack your ships, and you lose your ships, and maybe you can like just increase the money you have during trading. And those are not kind of fresh like after thinking about it now. Like for how to move is like you can like just move on the course, and you can move faster, you can move free box, and but you have to pay the parking fee. So it's equivalent, you can say. Um, just like to have a balance for convenience and for financial. Mm. And if you are off course and you can only move 1 block, and you can move horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, and somehow like playing chess. Mm. But not quite. Actually, it moves very slowly, and because at that time in old games we have to explore the new world, and they were not built territory, so we can only move very slowly because because the courses are built based on built territory, and very logically you think like if there's no territory at the end point of the course, and it's not likely to have course. Mm. But seems like all around the world, they already had built territories, so that's fine. And know that any ships can be only moved in 1 turn, and individual ships cannot be moved twice or more, even though other ships are not moved. How to attack? Mm, a little bit like Risk, but I'm not the same. Although we both of us would use dice. Mm, because I will have a castle in the territory, and each time you attack, and you would try to calculate the value point. It's like, for example, like a castle, they may have 3 points right here, and a ship's value is like 2. And if there's a ship and a castle together, and the power value totally is 5, and then you roll a dice, and you multiply the dice by the power, the total power value, and then we'll see who has a higher score. And add your power value of involving ships or castle together. If there's no castles, and uh for your 2 ships together, maybe 4. And know that like the ships will be sunk if the ship owner loses. And for the territory, if the territory owner loses, the territory should be given to the winner. Mm. During like in my old game, it's uh like because like in my country had many unfair treaties, and I wanted to try to put that into my game. Like if you lose a game, you should compensate for maybe $200, for example, and maybe you will lose your territory, uh, and you may lose some money. Maybe you may lose half of the total money in your hand. But that's kind of very complicated, and I just simplified that because like in the old game, the problem of the old game rule is like uh when you try to start a war, if you lose that, you should carry on a very high risk, and that's not gonna to encourage people to fight with each other. They'd rather do trades. So it's kind of like not good. Like how to complete the trade rule is like in Ticket to Ride, but I have to pay $200 before grabbing the car, and you just choose at least one car, then you move your ship to the beginning port. There are 2 ports on each car, and you just need to move to one port. And uh, the order of the car is does not have any sense, and it just like it's just telling you you should start at one port and finish at the other port. And before you start to just declare your journey to others. Because people like you have to give a chance to people like I'm going to set off, and so that people they may rob you. And also like maybe you just grab a car and you don't, maybe there's like uh $500 there, but you say I can get $700, and if you don't let other people know about your money, uh you will gain. And you like people other people may not believe you or something, and just claim when you finish the journey and to try to get the money. And for the piracy, you must obtain a piracy license before robbing a ship. And a junior one is like $50, and uh, for this is like a kind of the skill of Japanese ships, and you can just park in any other port without paying or permission. And the validation is forever, and you can sell a license to other person. Mm. And then for the piracy, like in detail, it's like if you attack the ship and you win, and you can either take the task, complete the remaining journey, and get the money which is written on the trade card. And you sell the goods and at any other ports, and you can get $200. But know that like a trade ship's power value is reduced to 1, because like it seems your main function is to carry goods. So and cost like have a higher chance higher rate for people to rob your ship, and they make it successfully. And if you rob a ship without a piracy license, you cannot get any money, and that's what the piracy license for. Mm, essentially, how to build a factory and gain resources. You can just build your factory, maybe in your turn, or maybe in rest time, maybe. I think I should try to uniform them. And you have to build a factory first, and you can use the 5 woods and 5 metal tickets at the beginning of the game. You can just use them to build factories, and each factory costs $50. So you have to pay $50 plus the woods and the metal. I typed something wrong here. That should be metal. And you can just gain 1 unit of resources from a factory territory at the rest time. And you can either sell the resources or just use that for your own business. Like I can just like tell you the function of resources. Like the wood, you can build a ship factory. For metal is the same. And for oil, you can adding one power value when battling. Mm, for example, like you have 2 ships and the total power value is 4 initially, and you have one oil and it will be increased to 5. And sugar, like your ships can be moved for one more block per turn. I think it can be applied for all the ships you have. Mm. The fertilizer, like that can be used to increase. Uh, you can have more sugar or wood product each turn, but you have to like you have only a fertilizer. You can only use one fertilizer in a factory. You cannot use that to all the factories. You cannot use that for all the sugar and wood factories, and which is not unfair. And well, the gold, the diamond, I have one diamond in, but maybe I have tried to convert it to gold, and you can just keep 2 or more units of them. Because you may use them to control the prices or of the resources to control the currency, or you can just not be influenced by the price rising. Of course, you can also sell the golds to the bank. And there is a war, and the price will go up by $10 per unit. And if the country is just completing a trade rule, uh, it can the prices will be reduced by $5 per unit. So there's an up and down right here, and uh, there's a war. If there's a war, it will be increased by $10, and for a completed trade, and it will be reduced by $5. And note that there are arm factories, which means like you can build your ship here and only here. You cannot build ships elsewhere. But if you don't have any arm factories, uh, you can only build your ships in your capital. And the new ships with certain money to and resources to rebuild them or to build new ships. Like we have actually I have 12 ships for a single color, and I can only allow 6 ships initially. And maybe you can just build 1 or 2 more ships initially to try to enlarge your scale during the world. And those are factories that do not generate resources. Uh, and you can only build ships right here. except your capital. Mm. And railways and canals, like it's kind of like, for example, like Panama Canal and Suez Canal, uh, they would not exist at the beginning, and you have to detour for a long journey if you go from New York to San Francisco. And this kind of like uh very primitive, but I think it's more fun. And the price of railway is $500 per block, and the price for canal is $200. And I think like $200 might not be very, not a huge figure, I think. Uh, like as time goes by during the game, and I may have an auction if like everyone wants to buy them. I may organize an auction for them, and I've tried to add add an auction here. And if the ship is at the endpoint, and yeah, you have to pay to the endpoint city. The last but not least, like you cannot attack or take over someone's capital. Uh, in my old game rule, you can take over. And for the guy who was taken, whose capital was taken, uh, he or she need to he or she needs to move the capital to somewhere else. For example, if London is taken, uh, and the England government, like the player, like playing as the England government, he or she may move the capital to Australia or something where it is safer for them. And those are very uh that spends a lot of money and time, and it causes very uncertainty, and let the player may not gain anything if all their ships are gone and their capital is gone as well, and he was just get nothing. And I think that's too fierce. So you cannot attack or take over someone's capital. And how to win is like you can like just consider it based on the curve. It's a ranking. Like for example, you have some achievement here, and for example, like the United States is the first place in territory quantity, the second place in money quantity, the third in resources variety, the fourth in trade road, the fifth place in railroad mileage. Mm. So the first place get 50 points. The most money get 40 points. The resources get 15 here because like these are major things and these are minor things. Like the most important part for our role, our game is like getting as many lands as you can and also money. And for this, you can say it's optional or just some maybe easy stuff or maybe like additional thing to help you get more points. And and from the United States, 15 points here, 10 points here, and 5 points here. So you add those points together. So you can get 120. So you just compare the addition to other players and to see who has the highest score. So this is the brief introduction. Actually, not quite brief, mm, like during this moment, but I may have to increase many stuff here. I may need add a lot of things to try to improve that. I may add a lot of details right there. For example, like how many hours uh do the players need to complete the game? Because like uh in the old days when we play the old game, it usually takes like 4 or 5 hours to complete that because I'm not trying to improve like to promote the game in board game club because it takes so long and it takes uh for a normal board game it takes like about maybe 10 or 15 minutes or maybe approximately 2 hours for the maximum time. Mm. So this is a kind of normal board game. But actually this game is like uh those are more suitable for those guys playing in Model United Nations because uh I was in the Model United Nations club in high school and we usually try to negotiate with other people. Like for example, like I represent China and people they may represent United States, Russia, United Kingdom, and we also have issues right there. There are a lot of issues, but the most essential thing is like you should try to gain as many benefits as you can. So to try to uh have more benefits like money, lands, resources, and those things. And it's just like negotiating, and sometimes you may fight with each other. And those kind of like very like modern United Nations, they try to negotiate, they will have suggestions, proposals, and they will try to discuss the issue overnight and try to balance uh, the benefits of each other. And so that's kind of like, yeah, actually it's time wasting and also very complicated. So I would rather promote my game in Model United Nations Club or some guys they may fall in love in the age of sale or negotiation or geopolitics. So that's it. So thanks for watching that.